Hello and welcome to video 3 of the Fumigator project. Today we are going to try to incorporate some theming into our website and make it look good. We will not be designing a custom website from scratch, but we will be using some predetermined themes from PrimeNG so that the application is responsive and does not look that bad. Perhaps in some future iterations, we are going to design it in a custom way and implement those designs using our custom SCSS files. But for now, we are going to use the default theming with PrimeNG and some utility classes which it provides, and then try to make our website responsive and make it look good. So let's start. In order to get started, I have opened my project in VS Code. I'll just serve it. This is the project. Right now it looks like this. We have given some basic styling to it. We are going to remove it and then give it a styling from PrimeNG. In order to do that, we have to open PrimeNG. So I'll search for PrimeNG, not the RIA theme, just PrimeNG. I will open this link. I will go to components. Now there is this thing again. This is set to the latest version of Angular. For me, I'm working with Angular 15 because I had that. In order to check your version, what you can do is essentially do an ng version. So I have the version 15. So I'm going to download the version 15 for PrimeNG. I think the LTS versions are paid. PrimeNG has both a free tier and a paid tier. We are going to use the free tier itself, and therefore I'll choose this 15.4.1 version. Okay, let us copy this and install it. This is installed. In order to check if our packages are getting installed, we can open the package.json. We can see we have a PrimeNG. Now, apart from PrimeNG, we have to install two other packages. First of which is PrimeFlex. To install that, we'll just copy this. There is no versioning required. Just copy, install it. We can see that we have the PrimeFlex package now. And the next one is Prime Icons. Yeah, I think this should also be fine. We don't need a versioning for this as well. All right. So now that we have our dependencies installed, let's set these up. In order to set these, we have to go to our root and then to the style.scss. Let me scroll it up so that you can see. Style.scss, you might have chosen CSS, but your main style file. Let's go there, and we are going to import themes and everything. We have already taken care of this part, so I'm just going to go ahead and import these styles. There are two ways to do it. You can either make changes in the angular.json or import these in the CSS file. I would prefer this particular method, so I'll copy these lines into my style.scss. So that is there. I'll save that. That is for PrimeNG. Now we have to set up PrimeFlex and Prime Icons. So this is my Prime Icons, and just like that I will import this over to here. Now for PrimeFlex, I think I closed it. So we don't have an import. Yeah, here it is. If you see here, there's only the angular.json method mentioned here. I'm not going to use that because of my preference. So I'll just go ahead and type my import for PrimeFlex. This is import, then PrimeFlex slash primeflex.css. I will save this. Now, how do I know that this is what I have to write? Essentially, we can scroll up and go to our node modules. Our node modules contain this big library of all the third-party dependencies. So we'll scroll down all the way to P, and from P we will go to PrimeFlex. So the path here is import PrimeFlex and PrimeFlex.css. Here we have all the utility classes which we can use. So there it is. You can also see that we have used the default theme of Lara Light. If you want to change this theme, there are several themes available in PrimeNG. I'm just going to go with the default for now. But if you want to change that, we can go to our node modules, PrimeNG resources and then themes. So inside PrimeNG, we are searching for resources, and then we have themes. So we can choose from any of these available themes. I right now have Lara Light Blue, but if I wanted, say, Lara Light Indigo or Lara Light Teal, I can just change it to themes.lara light blue to teal, and that basically takes care of it. Okay, now after everything is imported here, we have to do one more thing. This is called a CSS reset. It's not a complete reset. If you Google for CSS reset, you will find pre-written CSS which you can basically import in your project. I'm just going to do a very bare minimum CSS reset for my need. I'll do a star so that it will address every element in our application. I'll do a margin of 0. I'll do a padding of 0. I'll do a box sizing border box. I'll also do a font family of system UI. I'll save that. If this is not wrapping for you, this text wrap does not work. If you have to scroll horizontally, you can press Alt Z. So perhaps this is what it looks like for you. Press Alt Z and you will have it wrapping. I will save that, and let's see what our application looks like. So this is what the application looks like. We have not made any changes to it yet. Let's go to our login component, and it's CSS. This is what we wrote in the last video. So let's start using it. Let's go to PrimeNG, and inside that we want to use input text. Now, in order to use input text, we are going to have to import this. I'll import this inside my app module. Perhaps in a later video, since we have a lot, since we are going to have a lot of imports, in a later video we can talk about shared modules, wherein we can import everything related to PrimeNG, then export that module here. So but that's for a later time. Right now we're just going to write everything in our app module itself. Let's go and declare it. We'll save this. Now that we have imported text module, we can start using these HTML guides given here. So I want something like this. So let me lift this HTML and we're going to put it inside our HTML like so. I will remove this because we don't have value in our model. So let's save that and see what it looks like. So we have something like this, right? Let me remove the styling which we made, our custom styling. I'll just go ahead and comment it and see what that makes it looks like. All right, so now we are here. I'll also go ahead and comment the HTML we wrote. So this is what we have. Now instead of login main, let me remove that and use our PrimeNG utility classes. So let's make it flex and flex column. Okay, that works. And what else? We have to align center, align items center. and also justify content center. So in order to get these utility class names, we can just go to PrimeFlex and we have all the documentation available. So if right now I'm using the flex box of CSS, I'll go to flex and I can, let's say for flex direction, I can do flex column like I did here, flex column. And to align content, I can see align content center and justify content center. We can get all these examples here. Now, these are only a few classes which we need to remember. We don't need to by heart anything. If you have used Tailwind before, then you will perhaps be familiar with this kind of utility class use straight away inside the HTML. So what else do we need? We need a gap and a margin here. Instead of gap, I'm going to take margin itself. So for margin, let's come and see how to utilize. I will say and a margin of let's say 2 rem for the entire div. How does that look? Okay, we have it on top. Then you can introduce a class here. Let's go with 5 here as well, but we'll go with a margin top. So for that span, I'll put a margin of top 5 again. That is good. And what else? Okay, so this is our email field. Let's make some adjustments for it. So we'll do it a type of email. We do want to connect it to our ng model and use a regular placeholder instead. Okay, so let's repeat this. But instead of the PI search, yeah, so now we need to change our icons. So let's go to Prime icons now. Then Prime icons, let's go down and we have a list. Let's search for user. So we have a PI user. Let's copy this, go to our editor, PI search. We'll use PI user. And for password, we are going to use this lock icon. So we have this is fine, this is lock, but here we want a type of password and the ID should be password ng model, which we will link to the password. Placeholder will also be password. Let's save that and see what we have. So we have an email and we have a password field. That is super. Now let's go ahead and add a button so that we can log in. So that will go to the button component and import this inside the app.module.ts. Let's declare that. And then what kind of button do I want? I want a button with an icon. So let me scroll down and see. Okay, I have something like this. Let me take this and put it here. Let me add a class here. I'll keep things consistent by adding a margin top of 5. My label is login, and let's change the icon as well. No login. Let's see if we have sign in. Yes. So this is our button, and on click we want it to do the same thing. I'll paste that. just happened? Okay, so it seems I use sign in, so for the sake of consistency, why not use the same thing? Let's save that. And okay, so let's give our email, the password. Alright, we're able to sign in. The functionality was always there and now it's working. Now this looks considerably better than what we had before. Now that we know that our login page is functional, we can see that if it's responsive as well. I'll press F12 and go to responsive mode. Let's see for mobile screen. However, this is still, I need to make it text align center. Let's go with text center with the H1. Okay, this is perfect for all the viewpoints. This is nice. Yeah, this is acceptable for all viewpoints. So let's go ahead and style our home page now. I think I'm already logged in, so no need to enter my credentials again. Straight away go to home. Okay, so in the home page, what we want right now are two buttons which will lead the user to two separate modules. The first one will lead the user to create a license, and the second one will lead them to view the licenses which have been created in the past. I will perhaps restructure it again, but for now I'll just separate the UI into two buttons. Then in later videos when we are refactoring it, we can perhaps go straight away to the view module, and then from there we can have a button which will lead the user to the create module. For now, let's just make these changes. So I'll come here and close everything which we don't need. I can perhaps remove all this CSS, we don't need it now. This is not required, not required, not required. So let's open our home component. Yeah, there's no CSS here anyway. Okay, so we do have the sign out button which we want to keep. All right, so first of all, since we have already imported our button module into the main app module, we can utilize this here. So I'll go ahead and use the same button over here, but instead of sign in, we are going to do sign out. For the icon, take sign out. So it's a big sign out button. Let me just wrap it inside another component. Div, perhaps, yes. Okay, yeah, why not give it a complete margin and not just at the top? That is good. This will be flex. Inside we will have two buttons. Okay, I'm not narrating these things as I'm doing it. We want an icon to show the user that we want to read the previous licenses made. What kind of icon can there be? I'm just going through it and looking for an icon which would be perfect for it. So in the button module, we can see there are these different themes available. This help, warning, info, success, secondary, style class, what we want. Okay, so we have saved create license, view license, and sign out. This is a danger button. We have given it a good color. Let's check the responsiveness for this. Obviously, this is nothing great yet. This looks a bit better. Now we need to create a generate our modules essentially and set up routing so that the correct module loads when we click on these buttons. Alright, let's create our modules now. What we are going to write is ng generate module. We'll have a separate folder called modules space create new, and then we'll tag it with routing so that we have routing present in it or routing setup in it for us. That's going to create a modules folder and it has only one folder, create new. Let's create the other one. Here we'll name it view previous. Now we have a create new and view previous module. Let's also create some components here. So inside create new, let's do nggc the modules, then create new. We will have the home component for create new. Let me think, not the home, let's say create. Okay, let's go ahead with that. We have a create component and inside that all the component files. And for view previous, okay, we'll create a new component for this as well, nggc modules, not create new, view previous, and then the component name will be view all. So we have these things set up for us. All right, that is perfect. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to go to the main app.routing module and set up routes for these new modules which we generated. We are going to do something called lazy loading. What that means is whenever the user basically logs into the application, we are not going to load these modules which might be heavy and contain a lot of code. We are only going to load these modules when they are asked for by the user by clicking a button, for example. So in our case, when the user clicks the create new button, that is the time when we load the create new module. This makes the user experience better and makes the application a bit faster, less clunkier to use. So let's set up our routing now. When we go to the path create or the path of create, so we are not going to use the component file anymore. What we're going to use is this load children. So let's see if the syntax is right. Make it create new. Modules create new and create.new module and create module. Yeah, so this is the syntax used for lazy loading. For the other one, going to use view previous. So now that this is declared, we'll go to the routing files of these particular modules. So let's go to create new routing, and here we are going to create new routes. Let's load it for the default path. So now that this is set up, let's go to our where was it? Component, home component, HTML. Now for this button, we are going to create a router link, and that will be okay. We are here at create new, and similarly for view, we are going to go to view previous. Okay, so this seems to be working, and that is all we are going to talk about for today. In the next video, what we will attempt to do is to create a reactive form where the user can enter a relevant input and then click on a button to save that input inside a Firestore database. And we may also try to attempt to generate a PDF, but we are going to see how long the video gets. If you like what you see and if you want to follow along this application, I'm going to be adding videos every 2 or 3 days. Because I'm doing this in my free time, I cannot promise to add a new video daily, but I would also request you to subscribe to my videos so that you can follow along with it. We are at the final step, and here I am with another headset because my earbuds got discharged. So hopefully the audio is good. For our final step, we are going to go to the terminal and we are going to write ng deploy. You might have seen that error warning there. Um, the budget is usually 500 KB, but as our application will get bigger, this will increase. We can take care of that by going to the Angular JSON, and let me see if it's a. So if you open your Angular JSON and search for budgets, you can take a maximum warning and maximum error. We can, since our total size 1.15 MB now, I think we can make this as 5 and this has 3 MB. That should not be a problem for us. 5 MB to 3 MB size for the entire application is not that big, and internet connections are now able to download these packages. Also, since we are lazy loading, all of this 5 MB, even if the application goes to 5 MB, it is not going to get downloaded at once. So we are safe in that regard. So let me just clear the console and run the command again. Alright, our application is now deployed. Since we didn't get that error, hopefully everything will be fine now. So I'll just try to open that. Open. So browsers actually cache the website so that we can have a faster experience. Since we deployed it again, you just need to refresh it so as to not to load it from the cache and actually fetch it. So if that happened with you, you need to reload in order to see your website. Let us log into it. Alright, we are able to log into our application and we can create a license. Create will work. View a license, view will also work. You can also sign out. And if I try to go to the home page now, yeah, so our guard is also working. Our website is deployed as is on the internet now. Thank you and bye bye.